Okay, 4. A main program. Now, most programming languages have some sort of main. Some of them try to hide it from you. But there's some place where you go from the operating system to the first thing that gets executed in your code. That's the main program. Go is not one of those hide-it-away types of languages. So you just put package and main. Main is a package that you can use in testing as well. I don't see very many people do that, but you can put it in the test stuff. But it is a package, and inside this, you'll do something like import. And your first import, something like, I'm going to have to look. And there is a tool that handles the imports for you in Go, called Go Format is one of them, and Go Indent is another. And I use Go Indent. It is built into the language, but usually it requires configuration inside your editor to run it. I have mine set up so that every time I save something, it goes out and it runs Go Import, actually, is the one that I'm using right now. And it takes care of indenting all of your code into a standard format, as well as, yes, taking care of your imports. So if you're using packages that are on your system and it can find them, you rarely have to mess with this. It just goes and finds them and puts them in. Once you've used them in a particular path in a package, it knows where they are. FMT doesn't have GitHub, which means it's a part of the standard Go library. When you install Go, it has a path that it uses that has that standard library in it. And there are a slew of packages. And then func. Functions just start with func. There are no subroutines. And a name. If this was part of a module, there'd be more here. But in the case of main, we just want main and parentheses and a squiggle bracket. So the main here and the main here are basically, they're not reserved words, but they are the ones that it will use to identify what is the main function in the main module in your code, which is what gets called when you run stuff. And if you try to compile something and it doesn't have this, you will get a linking error. So you can compile a library without a main, but if you have a package main, then you are building a main program and you have to have one and only one of these, and that's what it's going to call. And then we will return to this package that we imported format, fmt dot, and the way that the convention inside Go is that if it is a capital, that means that it was exported by the package. That's how you export things, is you start the name with a capital. If it's lowercase, it's local to the package. So fmt.print f, and we'll give it a little format with some string here for a format. And I actually stick that on the next line. Hello world. And a \n to go to the next line. And then we close this squiggle up here, down here, and you have a complete Go program in, 10 lines or less that prints out HW and \n. Things that are in lists, like import has this parenthesized list. You can put more things in between the parentheses so that you can have an import that imports more than one thing. And generally, any kind of a declaration like import can have open paren and a list of things. This is how it does constants. Go is the first language that looks at things not just on a line or as a series, but as a series of lines instead of a series of characters. So stuff like constants, you set up an initialization, you put it in a parentheses list, and you can get it to increment values as you're building a series of constants. And that's a convenient way of looking at things. It is not a character-oriented language like C. It is a line-oriented language. So lines of text mean something, and indentation means something to the language. That's part of the reason why pretty much every package in existence requires that you use the standard formatter, and that everybody format their code the same way. You may not like it, but you get used to it, and it's a good way to format the code. When you run stuff in this class and turn it in, I expect it to be formatted with a standard formatter because it will save time for me reading it, and that's why everybody uses it. It is the way to format code. And I use Go Import as my formatter, which runs the standard formatter on your code and takes care of your imports. So you write a file like this in text. You'll notice that there are no semicolons. You'll notice that when I did a line continuation, I broke at an appropriate point. Usually your breaks have to be after open parens or after commas if you want to continue to the next line. And everything will be indented in the standard fashion. A tab here, 2 tabs here if it's on a line continuation. You don't have any much choice. There will be a tab here. And it uses tabs for indentation. So that's how it is. And there's only one format.